In the past, before modern transportation and sedentary jobs, we were naturally more active. We were walking to the shops, climbing out more stairs, carrying more loads. We're also in more active job roles, like farming and factory work. Today, our lifestyles are far less active, but we eat the same amount of food, if not more. And this is fueling the modern obesity epidemic. In this video, I'll introduce you to the 21st century solution so that you can stay lean and healthy and avoid the health challenges of our time. Now, I want you to imagine a gorilla sitting in the jungle eating all day, and also imagine a gazelle on the savannah running around, eating all day, prancing over here, and making sure it doesn't get eaten by a lion. Both of these animals are classified as very lean animals. For instance, the gorilla is about 8% body fat, which to us humans, that's pretty lean. That would be considered pretty ripped. The difference between the two animals in terms of their strategies to stay in this, let's say, body composition or percentage is that the gazelle burns a lot of calories through movement and the gorilla carries lots of muscle. Now, the gorilla's strategy here is that muscle, while sitting down, burns a lot of calories. Essentially burns 3 calories per hour. So if you equate that to, let's say an average male, and they're carrying 65 kilograms of lean muscle, they're going to be burning a ton of calories, around 4,500 to be approximately exact. Now, that is a fairly considerable amount of calories, and you'd be able to eat a lot of food and not gain weight if that was what was happening on your body. Now, if we go back to the gorilla and the gazelle analogy, the gazelle, like I alluded to, is the cardio freak. The person that is always running, always on the Stairmaster, exercising for hours a day. Now, certainly that is a strategy, but for modern people that have a job, have a family, and a social life, it's not very attainable for a lot of us. We just don't have the time to do cardio all the time. And there's a downside to cardio as well. There's always the potential you're going to be losing some muscle, which is a problem. Now, the gorilla is a bit more of a sprint and lift type of animal. It'll go up the mountain, find more food to eat, plonk itself down, and chomp away all day, socialize, having a pretty good life. That is almost the equivalent of an office worker that sits down, that sits in their car on the way home, and then socializes with their family, and then goes to bed. The thing with a gorilla is that it does do some intermittent kind of lifting and intense exercise. A lot of this is to do with their behavior with play or fighting, which I don't encourage, the play part, but not the fighting part. But you get what I mean. So if you're building more muscle through resistance training, it means you've got a higher metabolic rate because you have to maintain that muscle while you're sitting in your car, while you're sleeping, and while you're sitting down at work. There's another factor to the method of gaining muscle, which is generally you have to lift things that are heavier than what you're used to, or resistance training. So when we resistance train and we compare that to the equivalent amount of time in cardio training, the amount of fat those two study groups lose is comparably the same. Yeah. It's a little bit more on the cardio and a tiny bit less on the resistance training. The thing is when you take out all of the rest periods within resistance training, because essentially 80% of resistance training is sitting down and resting between each of your sets of exercise. In 60 minutes, you might have only really been lifting things for about 15 to 20 minutes. And if you compare that to continuously exercising with the cardio, you can see here one is more efficient than the other in terms of burning calories. And science is explaining why this is. You don't actually burn the same amount of calories, let's say, in the exercise bouts. So resistance training, you burn less. In the cardio, you burn more during the sessions. But there is essentially a metabolic rate increase from weight training. Now, that increase in metabolic rate can go upwards to 20% for 24 hours from just one session of resistance training. And it's what we call post-exercise oxygen consumption. There's essentially an oxygen debt you have to repay back to the body. And to do that, the body is essentially burning energy, calories. That's great. You basically did a 60-minute session in the morning, let's say, as an example, and your metabolic rate for 24 hours is heightened. And that's the difference between cardio and weight training and why you lose probably the same amount of weight from them. Now, the other one that adds resistance training is the one I mentioned earlier, is that you have more muscle eventually in resistance training. A perfect scenario. So if you're like that gorilla who's carrying a lot of muscle tissue, and basically when they exercise, their metabolic rate, even though they're sitting down after the exercise, is heightened, you have the perfect 21st century solution to stay lean and healthy. Now, if you'd like to know more about your health, take our health questionnaire just below to find out more and get a personalized report to get your health journey started today. If you would like more expert advice on how to help your health improve, please click the link below and find out how Fugen Health can improve your health beyond what you thought possible. Please watch the following video just up here to improve your health even more.